Alright, today you guys, we're going to be reviewing Gears 5. This is a pretty new game. Came out September 10th of 2019. It's a third-person shooter developed by Microsoft. And it is currently available on the Xbox One and PC. It supports keyboard and mouse, obviously, and supports the Xbox One controller. Previous games were developed by Epic Games. This one was not. This was a little bit of a foray for Microsoft. However, it is an excellent game. This one was developed by Microsoft themselves. Pretty much. This one was, by their own little studio. So it's a little bit different than some of the older games. Still excellent nonetheless. Still excellent story. Excellent plot. Nice little twist and things like that. I mean, this is the fifth game in the series, so obviously they had to mix it up a little bit. There are a couple of options here available. There's campaign, which is just your traditional story mode. There's versus, which is you versus everybody else online. Ranked matches or non-ranked matches. You have escape, which is survival mode. You have horde mode, which is wave after wave of enemy come after you, or enemies come after you, and each wave that you successfully complete, you and your friends or randoms online, you go up to the next level, which is harder and harder, or a harder wave, and you guys pretty much keep doing that until you either beat all the waves or until you guys get taken out. You have boot camp, which is essentially just practice. You have the store, which is just cosmetics and things like that. You have extras, which is things like credits, benchmarks, kind of see how the game runs on your rig based on your current settings. You have previously on Gears, which just kind of gets you caught up on the lore and kind of what happened in the last game and things like that. So that's just kind of some of the options. We're gonna go ahead and jump into campaign mode right now. I have been playing for about 2 hours. I did start a fresh campaign. We have a couple of different little options here as well. But I'm not gonna keep you guys waiting too long. We're gonna show you some gameplay here. Load times are pretty decent, even on a traditional platter-based hard drive. I would suggest a solid-state drive like I have in my previous videos. That is the best way to get better load times. Graphical fidelity in this game is really good, actually. It's really, really, really good. Really, really good. Sound quality is excellent all around. Excellent sound design. Very high quality textures. I mean, I have it currently on the recommended settings, and I'm running at a locked 60 FPS. There are some minor dips here and there. I do not have the strongest hardware, but it is more than capable of running this game, and this is a fairly modern game. So that to me, that to me just says that this game's very well optimized. That means it's gonna pretty much run on any decent hardware. I mean, I wouldn't go lower than like a 560, because anything less than that, you're gonna be having some problems. You're gonna have a lot of stutter. I'm currently running on recommended settings, and that's just kind of what the PC or what the game detects. Your PC is capable of doing, and things like that. And I am currently playing on the higher difficulty settings because I feel like this game on higher difficulty settings, it just makes it a better game. That's in my opinion, of course. I just feel like that's kind of how the game should be played. It is, and the recommended settings, what they're running on, or what my recommended settings are. Let's see. well, the recommended settings that the computer chose for me anyway, are, let's see, they are high, 2x texture filtering, character level of detail low. I really wanted that on ultra, but I just leave it at low because it still looks, regardless, you guys, even at lower settings, this game's gonna look just really good. It's a Gears game. They've always been very good looking games. Foliage level of detail, that doesn't really matter, honestly, because it's kind of rendered when you get closer to it, and generally you're not really looking at a lot of foliage really close like that because you're, busy shooting, aliens. So it's not really that big of a deal. But I just went with the recommended settings. I am running at a locked native 1080p resolution, so that's generally where I like to run my games. Even if I do get a more powerful card, which I will, I'm not gonna probably run more than 1080p. I mean, maybe 1440 at the most, and 60. That's just kind of how I am. I'm kind of a little bit more old school that way. Sound quality and audio options are excellent. You have lots of options and things like that here. I will say one thing about this game: the music is just really good. Like, it's really good. It's some of the best music I've heard in a game in a long time. It's very, very cinematic. It's almost like a movie, honestly. It's really cool. It really immerses you in the universe and in the lore, and it's really good. Overall gameplay, it's good. It's good. Not the most amazing thing in the world, but it's really good. Like, there's not really much bad that I can say about it. I mean, there's really nothing wrong with it at all. I mean, I feel like for a Gears game, man, this is probably one of the best games you can play. Third-person shooter wise. I mean, this is something that's, you're gonna enjoy it. There's no way you're not gonna enjoy it. You know you're gonna love it. Even if you get killed like that, you're still gonna love it. You just pick up off your last checkpoint. Look at how quick the load times are. Not even a problem. Story, as far as the story goes, you're trying to finish off the Locusts, like you have been doing in the past games. And you don't want them to spread, because right now they're confined to an island. So you're gonna launch what's called the Hammer of Dawn, which is essentially a very powerful satellite weapon. Satellite style weapon. I guess I can't even really call it a satellite. It's a really powerful space weapon. You launch it, and it shoots a very powerful beam down on Earth, or down to Earth, and destroys whatever you target. The problem is, all the satellites that help guide the Hammer of Dawn have fallen to Earth, so you're trying to retrieve them so you can get the Hammer of Dawn back online to destroy the Locusts. So that's like a very basic. I'm not gonna, don't quote me on. I mean, don't hold me to this. It's a very, very, very rudimentary understanding of the story. It's a very simple way of explaining the story. But one thing I really like about this one is you got Jack here, this little helper robot. He has a couple of abilities, such as Assault. He has got like this little flash ability to where it just blinds and stuns enemies and makes them more vulnerable, so you can take them out a lot easier and target them a lot easier and just take them down. He has cloak abilities, so it makes it to where the enemy can't hit him as easily and things like that. You can upgrade him. You could upgrade his health, and you could upgrade how fast he regenerates health and cool stuff like that. And that's based on how many modules you get. The more modules you get, obviously the more upgrades you can have for him. I mean, I don't have any right now, so as you can see, components, that's what they're called, components. Like I said, I just fired this one up. I mean, honestly, I didn't even really know they added this much to the Gears games, honestly. I remember when I played the Gears games, it wasn't anything like this. I mean, they got new weapons and everything. I mean, you got this new chainsaw or saw type weapon, or it just pretty much will cut an enemy in half. Like, this thing is nuts. But even at the lower, what gets me with this game, even at the lower graphical settings, it's still very pretty. I mean, look at the level of texture detail. I mean, look at that. There's even still reflections, and my reflections are turned off. There's still decent reflections, even with the fancy reflection options turned off. It still looks really good. You know, it still sounds good. It still plays good. I'm still hanging at like a lock 60. Sometimes I drop down a little bit, though, to like 599 or whatever, but that's not a big deal. You know, I'm not sweating it. I'm more than willing to get into the action. One thing about this one, though, I will say, the way to get the best deal out of this one is to go ahead and get it on Xbox Live Game Pass, unless you just want to own the game, and even then it's more than worth buying, it's more than worth picking up. You know, another thing about this robot here, Jack, he can help you, you know, get into gates and things like that. You know, he will help you out in battle. He will revive you, just like your teammates will revive you, and things like that. So it's a pretty team-based, heavily team-based game. There is a lot of strategy and stealth involved. They did add a lot of stealth elements to the game as well, and that's one thing that I actually really do appreciate that they've added to the game. I'm trying to figure out how to get out of here. See how they have little shields around them? He has a little shield around him and everything like that. Cutscenes are done very well. They're very cinematic. You know, they're awesome. Let's see. One little detail I like, when you have heavier weapons. See, that's one of my teammates just revived me there, but I was down on the ground, so I dropped a heavier weapon. You know, that's pretty realistic. I'm gonna hit this guy with everything it's got. That's it. I'm out. It only holds about 10. But see, look at that. Look at how quick I got. But there are perks and things like that that can help out with that. But all in all, I would say this game is a solid 8 out of 10. It is an excellent game. I would say go ahead and pick it up. Either buy it or play it on Xbox Live Game Pass. Either way, you're going to enjoy yourself. Even if you don't care for third-person shooters all that much, you're going to love it. I'm going to go ahead and say, you know, like, subscribe, comment. Let me know how I can better improve my videos. And until next time, you guys, see you around.